Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings podcast with Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist. Control Talk Now, your source for control news you can use. And now, here is Eric.
Hi, welcome to Control Talk Now for the week ending April 12th, 2015. My name's Eric Stromquist. I'm your host of Control Talk Now, your smart buildings video and podcast. For our video watchers, I am holding my new son. This is Axel Bink Stromquist. He joined the Stromquist family a week ago Tuesday. That's why we didn't broadcast last week. So Axel, I just want to say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody, Axel. And especially to your Uncle Ken, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh. Hey, Uncle Ken, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Eric, and congratulations once again to Eric Stromquist and his wife Anna, and that new stud Axel Stromquist, Axel Bink Stromquist. It's an interesting name. Where does Bink come from, Eric?
Well, actually, Bink was my dad's name. He was the founder of Stromquist and Company, so he passed about 5 years ago, and so he's named after a really, really great man. So we're really fortunate to have Axel in the world with us, and Axel is a Swedish family name. My dad was from Sweden, so Axel Bink Stromquist. And I tell you what, dude, he's going to be calibrating pneumatic thermostats and programming DDC control systems before you can say Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall, man.
That's pretty fast.
It's pretty fast, big dog. Pretty fast. Well, listen, we got a lot to cover. We missed last week, obviously, because of Axel's birth. I think it was well worth doing. You did a great job, Kenny, summarizing the post we had from the previous week. But there's some conferences and things, Kenny. I think it makes sense for us to just sort of go through big events going on. Let's take a minute. Let's go through those and make sure that our community knows about some of the great things that are coming up, some of the great conferences.
Well, yeah, Eric, we concluded the Johnson Controls business conference in Florida. You had three more posts on the VAV solutions. You had the A421s being introduced, and then you had Brian Stats and the ACI Winter Circle. You had a DDC Part 2 by Rob Allen, and then there's some conferences, like you said. There's the most important conference coming up is the Open for Innovation Niagara Forum 2015. It's going to be an amazing show at the Hilton London Metropole. It's got the whole host of sponsors: Distech, Pacific Controls, Force Rock, Sysmec, OneSite, and again, it's for the building owners, engineers, developers, systems integrators, facility managers, consultants, manufacturers, environmental executives, and industry professionals. Can't miss this show in London. And that's, again, the 19th through the 21st of April.
I tell you what, dude, that is going to be such a great show. Congratulations to Nino DeCosmo, Jenny Graves. I know they put a lot into this show. We were going to go cover it, Kenny. They had invited us to come cover it, and just obviously with the baby coming, wasn't necessarily a good time for me to go overseas. But I think it's going to be a fantastic show. Lots going on with Niagara 4. I'm sure there'll be some updates from over there. As a matter of fact, Kenny, we've reached out. Hopefully we'll have Nino DeCosmo on next week for maybe a little live from London to sort of give us an update on what's going on over there. But we will definitely keep you informed on that summit. And, of course, next year we'll have the summit back in the States again. So good stuff. Good luck over there in London, England.
All right, Eric, next up we have the Synergy Industry Elite is the Controls Group North America meeting down in Savannah, Georgia, April 22nd through the 25th.
That's going to be a great meeting, Kenny. You know, in Savannah, Georgia, for our listeners who might not know, that's where they film most of Forrest Gump. So life is a box of chocolates if you're in Savannah. That's in our stomping ground, and you and I are both going to be there. DMS Controls is the newest member of Controls Group North America. Be a great conference. And for our listeners out there, you know, we mentioned Controls Group North America quite a bit. And the reason we do is because it's like-minded distributors. It's a very high bar to get in and become a member of Controls Group North America. We sort of parlay our resources together to make each other better. And some of the best systems distributors in the country are members of Controls Group North America. Like I said, we meet twice a year. We come together. We get better. Because we come together, we're quite often able to offer better pricing to our customers. We mention that not just because we're members of it. Obviously, we're members because we believe in the group, CGNA, Controls Group North America. But the main reason is a lot of our listeners kind of want to know where they can get some of the products and some of the things that we talk about on Control Trends. And cgnacontrols.net is a pretty darn good resource. You can go to cgnacontrols.net, click on members. You can find a member in your area. The other thing we do is we help each other out. So if, for example, I have an issue in Atlanta and Kenny's got some expertise in that, Kenny will help me out as a brother member, and we do that across the board. So CGNA Controls, something we really believe in. So we'll be down there. We'll be covering that conference. And we've got one of the vendor members is somebody we talk a lot about, Blue Ridge Technologies, Bill Duckelberger. And we're hoping we can get Bill on a show, kind of like we're doing with Sierra Monitoring. Good stuff. You excited about getting down there, buddy? No snow in Savannah.
Oh, I can't wait, Eric. And it starts off with a golf tournament, so it'll be first official whacking opportunity. So I'm looking forward to it. And it's a beautiful city. I've been through Savannah, and just a really nice environment, nice venue. Well done, CGNA. Next up, Eric, we got one that Control Trends community has always been tracking the open ADR. We have a passion to follow the development of the smart grid. And just a real quick note that the open ADR meeting in Open House is May 13th, 2015. The event will be hosted by Southern California Edison at their education center in Irwindale, California. And then we're transitioning of course, into our sweet spot. We got the Project Haystack Conference coming up May 18th through the 20th in Cheyenne Mountain Resort in Colorado Springs. What's your thoughts on that Project Haystack? There's something happening here, and it's going to be going second round, huh?
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, I am really, really thrilled about that, the Haystack Conference. We talk about it a lot on the show, but the thumbnail sketch of it is it's a bunch of independent business people, manufacturers coming together to come up with a common tagging language. And more people are adopting it. It's really sort of spectacular if you think about what they're doing, Kenny. What that basically means is that as a user, if it's Haystack compliant, your integrators are going to be able to find the points very easily. They're going to be able to pull information out of your system. Not that it couldn't be done before, Kenny, but a lot of times it was very expensive to do it before. And thanks to Haystack, with people like John Petsy, Mark Peacock, and some of the others, they've gotten together and they've said, look, enough. We need to come up with an energy we need to come up with a standard for this. And they've done it, and it was spectacular. We went to the first one, we covered it. We'll be going out to cover this one. I encourage you, if you're an integrator, if you're a user, if you're a manufacturer and want to know more about this, this will be well worth your time. You definitely want to check that out. I'm pretty sure, Kenny, that they can still register for this. I'd encourage you to get right on it. It's going to be spectacular. And Colorado Springs, Kenny, is absolutely beautiful, especially this time of year. It's where our friend Nicholas Tesla spent a lot of time. So I think Mark Peacock said we're going to get some lightning bolts coming out of the mountain and stuff like that.
Nice. Well, we got some feedback. There's over 250 people are signed up and registered for the event already. And again, the Project Haystack, it's taking cues from other data-intensive applications such as Facebook, Twitter, Google, and others that utilize tags and semantic data models. And so this is the real thrust. The Project Haystack is a community that addresses the challenge by defining easy-to-use methodologies. And they're really, truly inviting. I think you could still register as a presenter, I think, to the end of the week or so, but time's getting tight, obviously. They've got to come up with a concrete program, and but just the who's who of building integration, systems integration and building automation. It's a who's list of attendees. So
it's going to be spectacular, Kenny. Going to be great. So we will be at that conference, and if we haven't had a chance to meet you yet, and you're out there, please come up and introduce yourself. All right, big dog. We'll be up next.
Well, the next one's a little bit further downstream calendar-wise, but it's posted, and it's in a beautiful logo that came out. It's the Global EasyIO Partner Event in Paris. It's solidified September 20th through the 22nd, and we already had a heads up on it, but now they're actually showing what the program's all about and where some of the events are going to be taking place. I understand there's going to be lunch on the Eiffel Tower, so it's pretty exciting stuff. So,
well, no, Kenny, the inside scoop is there's going to be bungee jumping off the Eiffel Tower. So my question for you is, are you game if Mad Mike Marson gets that set up from EasyIO?
No.
No.
Pass.
Okay. Well, it should be the Fashion Week again. So if I know Mike and Gordon, Chen, and Lim like to set it up where we get to stay at the hotel with the models like we did in Madrid last year. So maybe they'll pull that off too. But what else we have? I mean, we're going up to the Moulin Rouge, right? That's part of it.
Yeah, there was mention that there's going to be part of the conference meeting. There's going to be something happening, an event at the Moulin Rouge. You're right. I'll tell you what. It's just it's the combination of the networking, the learning. There's going to be new product release and information about the next generation, the FG32 Beast Plus. They're actually adding more features and more power to it. So it's going to be again. I think they just keep setting the bar with this FG32 series. And so there's going to be training. There's going to be some meat and potatoes there for the systems integrators. And we're seeing a lot more people actually taking note of this from the States. Just like with the Innovation 4, I know DG Logic's going to be there. And I know that Neptronic's is going to be represented in London. So you can see how our global community just keeps condensing, consolidating, and making one platform for the globe, So
it's spectacular, Kenny. And I tell you what, in the time it takes me to drive from our Atlanta office to our Orlando office, I can be in Europe, and it's just the time. So it's something that I think we're going to see more and more of. It's a trend that maybe we ought to call it right now, that the world is shrinking trend. But it was spectacular. And Mike tells me that our friends from India are going to be with us in Paris, and with special shout out to you guys, big Control Trends fans in India. So look forward to seeing you guys again. We've got some interviews from last year with those guys, super, super sharp guys. South Africa, Norway, all over the world, Kenny. And of course, the United States is represented too. So that is going to be a spectacular show. And, there's great meat and potatoes there in terms of product, in terms of application. So it's not just a vacation. I mean, I tend to focus on the vacation side of it because where else can you go and write off a trip to Europe? But like Mike Marston says, you're going to be right there by the Louis Vuitton store, so your wife can spend a lot of your money, and then you have to buy Mike's product to sell it and make it up. And for those of you who haven't seen, Kenny and I will be doing a special after-hours tour at night along the Seine River. We spent some time in Paris last year on our way to the conference in Madrid, and if you check previous Control Talk episodes, you can see we found the USC marching band down there on the banks of the Seine. But what a great city, Kenny! Was that just awesome, or what?
Sure was. I've traveled a lot of Western Europe. I was stationed there in the military for 5 years, and then I was there as a civilian for 4. And I got to travel all throughout Italy, Austria, and whatever, and Czech Republic, and it didn't get any further than Poland. But I think that Paris was the prettiest city I've ever been in. It just, when you go there, it's different. It just shows you that it was the cradle of Western civilization with King Louis XIV, and everything just happened there. And so it has a much larger appeal. And then you said about the Americans, that the expats that went over there to visit those places and sit at the same table were Ernest Hemingway and some of these other incredible writers and authors. So it just has that magic to it. That other cities, Monte, for instance, is really cool. Italy, it's got 3 or 4 cities: Florence, Rome. Germany's got a host of them too. And
no, hey, speaking of Germany, Kenny, I mean, the other thing too is it's a hop, a skip, and a jump. Right after that conference, you can go right to Germany, and you're leading a group over for Oktoberfest, right?
I kind of. My oldest daughter, Sabrina, and her friends are coming over. See, people don't realize that Oktoberfest actually happens in September, the 8th month. Oktoberfest is actually referencing the 8th month of the year, not the month of October. So a lot of people think that the actual Oktoberfest is in October, and it's not. So it's actually tied directly to the meeting with London, Eric. So it's going to be really a cool thing. I mean, in Spain, we can go Paris. We can go right from Paris to Munich. We've had an invitation to go visit with Sismic and perhaps
Siemens, and maybe even Belimo. We'll go see our friends Lars Vanderhagen over in Switzerland with his new promotion, which is spectacular. Congratulations again to Lars Vanderhagen. He is now the head guy at Belimo.
And Thermocon. Thermocon's right above Frankfurt, which is where I used to live. I used to live in Hanau, Mittelbuch, and so it'd be fun to go back to those old haunts, because I probably drove by those buildings and didn't realize that. I used to always drive by a Honeywell building and found out later that was where they wrote all their software.
Fantastic stuff, Kenny. So great conferences coming up. And Kenny, another post that, again, you summarized last week, but it sort of leads to our guest this week, was the field server that helped the Levi's Stadium in San Francisco meet LEED certification. Speak a bit about that, if you would.
Very, very exciting stuff, Eric. The the post itself, is about the stadium, Levi Stadium, and but they had an event there where they hosted a record-breaking 76,976 people for the World Wrestling Entertainment's WrestleMania 31. And I didn't know much about that until I actually went on and saw the highlights. I mean, 76,000 people. I mean, that's a Super Bowl crowd, for goodness sakes. And imagine, if you will, how every single person expects the comforts in the modern technology, expects hot water, cold water, very serviceable plumbing, vendors, all the amenities, whether it's food and drink, all being done. Imagine the extraordinary amount of work, networking, and integration that occurs. Sierra Monitoring is very proud of the fact that they are very much involved in the actual integration. It's their gateways, their field server gateways that helped integrate all these incredible subsystems and led to the Levi Stadium achieving a LEED Gold certification. That was based on interconnectability, essentially monitoring and controlling systems that keep the stadium comfortable and operating efficiently. So good stuff.
Wow, well, it's great stuff. And Sierra Monitoring is somebody that I didn't know a lot about. You didn't either. But let's introduce our first guest, Kenny, and find out a little bit more about Sierra Monitoring. Tell us about our first guest.
I'd love to, Eric. Our next guest is Varun Nagaraj, President and CEO of Sierra Monitoring Corporation. Sierra Monitoring Corporation are providers of field server protocol gateways and Sentry IT and gas solutions. Varun, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Varun.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Eric. It's great to be here.
Okay. So, Varun, you guys are huge. We've had a chance to sort of get to know you guys a little bit better. And tell us, our listeners, a little bit about Sierra Monitoring Corporation.
Sierra Monitor addresses the facilities management market. And we do so with two solutions, one of which is focused on connecting different high-value assets inside of a building or a commercial facility and bringing it under some sort of an umbrella for common management. And our other solution focuses on life safety and protection, protecting high-value assets or people in a facility from the threat of gas and fire. So these are the two solutions that we have. So let me talk a little bit about the one that I think is most relevant to this audience, which is our connectivity product line. So the field server, gateway, and router product line is really our offering into the connectivity area. And the field server gateways, the field server routers are used by integrators and used by OEMs and occasionally by facility managers to tie together different kinds of systems that otherwise would be orphaned or siloed inside of a large building or a commercial context. So regardless of the protocol that these guys use, that these various systems use, we bring it together and we're able to get these talking to each other. We're able to get these talking to the building management system or to some sort of a cloud management system.
Okay, Varun, we've been on the SMC's new website, and I must say it is a fabulous website. There's a lot of great product information, a lot of application documentation, a lot of case studies. Tell us more about the website.
Thanks for the compliment. We're proud of the website and the team that worked on it internally at Sierra Monitor. Hats off to them for putting it together. We tried to strike a balance between visual appeal and visual design on one side and rich and useful information for the community on the other. And I hope we hit the right balance. We are big fans of providing the right kind of information in a relatively non-salesy fashion to the community at large. The community that comes to Control Trends, Ken and Eric, come here because they get information that they can use. And we were trying to do the same on our website. So if anything, we've actually over-rotated perhaps towards, too much information or too much content rather than, too much sales. One of my board members was commenting upon our lack of the buy now button all over our website. And I do know some of our other peer companies in this space that sell gateways and routers are very clear about their commercial intent. The buy now button is splashed all across their websites, and we've really gone light on that. And the reason really is, I think as a community, we owe it to each other to share best practices, to share information with each other to make our industry better, and that's what we've tried to do with the information collection and dissemination on our website.
Very, very, very cool, Varun. Wow, that is fantastic. You guys have such a treasure trove, if you will, of knowledge. And we've sort of come up with an idea where you guys are going to do a show with us, a monthly show. We're going to do 12 episodes where you're going to share some of this knowledge. Tell our listeners a little bit about the Sierra Monitoring show that we'll be producing for you.
So thank you again for the opportunity to use your forum and to communicate with your audience. We do have a lot to say, and we have a lot to learn as well. And I hope that this 12-part interactive series furthers the conversation that our community ought to be having. There are 3 themes in particular that I'm excited about that I hope we get to cover during the course of the 12 months. The first one really is about sharing our customer use cases and customer deployments. We are constantly amazed by just how creatively and fearlessly our customers, who are integrators or OEMs or facilities managers, use protocol gateways and protocol routers to enable all kinds of use cases that weren't possible some years ago. So sharing that, I think, will be useful for the community at large and well in the spirit of what it is that Control Trends is all about. The second big theme that we really want to talk about is something that we are driving this year with some visible proof points already in the market, and that's around ease of use. Sierra Monitor and the Field Server product line in particular has always been well known as a highly flexible product line. You can pretty much do anything you want in the protocol realm with it. And a very feature-rich product line. We have the largest number of protocols supported in the industry. You can be pretty sure you're going to be able to connect anything together. But the one area that I think we've had an opportunity to improve, which we're acting upon, is ease of use. So our recently introduced BACnet router is a great example of that. So from a feature point of view, as always, we have innovated, with capabilities like device find, which is a one button or a one-click push that lets the router automatically go out and discover the entire network around it, so the integrator knows his job is truly done. And that's great. But additionally, we spend a lot of time trying to turn this truly into a one-page set and forget kind of a user interface. And if you get a chance to take a look at the BACnet router, unbox it and do the kinds of things you guys do at Control Trend, I think you'll agree with the fact that we have really made it easy to use. We have made it available on popular sites, with distributors. And we hope to continue this train of thought. So you will see from us a range of new products that we refer to as our easy product line coming out, each one distinguished not just in terms of the richness of features, but in terms of its ease of use as well. So ease of use is really a big vector, a second vector for us. And the third one that I'm going to be a little coy about right now, but I hope during the course of the 12 months we truly get a chance to dig into it, is about the role of the cloud and the role of the gateway in cloud enabling various devices. So how does a smart connected product or a smart connected device connect not only to a building management system or a SCADA system, but be connected to the cloud itself so that various people within the value chain can use the benefit of that direct connectivity for value-added capabilities like predictive maintenance or deep analytics or for improving the product itself. I think this area is a rich area. It requires a lot of dialogue, I believe, within the community for us to figure out what the right business models are and what the technical challenges are that we need to overcome. And we're in the thick of this, and I hope to be talking a lot more about this during the course of the coming 6, 9, 12 months.
Varun, we're very, very interested about the show, and we'll have a post in the near future to go into greater detail about why these shows will be something that all systems integrators around the world and the HVAC professionals around the world won't want to miss. It'll be that important and compelling.
Yeah, absolutely, Varun. We're really looking forward to that. We're excited, and thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us today.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ken. I'm looking forward to our next episode.
So, Kenny, what's our next post?
Rob Allen, 7 Minutes in Control with EZIO's Mike Marston. And this was a more in-depth presentation of that FG32B is being ready to be released. In fact, I saw it on the new price list. And Rob asks Mike some difficult questions about the product and then also about the future of EZIO, because the passion that these guys have in the growth and the exponential increase in sales and the presence around everywhere. I know Mike just got back from India. He wrote that nice little email. So they're adding to they got BACnet client server. They got Modbus client server. So I mean, it's just these guys keep driving a new standard, and And it also ties into that great training facility. Tell us a little bit about Rob's presentation down there in Stromquist's training room.
Well, Rob Allen, the brief one, he's 7 minutes in controls because he thinks you and I are way too long, is interviewing a lot of great guys, doing a fantastic job with it. And, of course, Mad Mike Marston's in town. You got to interview Mad Mike. Actually, we were doing an EasyIO training together. Our Michael Bonner was, and Mike was there to support. And they had a great conversation, sort of updating on what's going on with the Beast Plus. I can't believe they're coming up with another version of that controller. And Rob just sort of pointedly asked him the question, Kenny, who's going to buy you? And Mike's answer will surprise you. So I'm going to encourage you to go check that out.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But again, the passion that they have, I think, is the driving force.
Well, they love it, don't they? They really love it.
Told me about that book, 0 to 1, and I read it. And again, his Mr. Thiel's comments, Peter Thiel believes that a corporation has to almost have a cultist-like approach towards things. They can't be digressing. They got to be focused. Everybody has to be on the same sheet of music, and everybody has to do something very well. And that's what drives these great companies. And I think of all the companies, big and small, I think EasyIO's got some of that. They've got everybody involved has the same level of passion and what's the same result, and it's growth and excellence. So, well done, EasyIO.
It really is, Kenny, and of course I love it because in the interview, one of the things that Mike refers to is EasyIO's quest for the race to the small space, which is a coin that you and I termed, and it's kind of cool because I think they really play well in that space, the race to the small space, and that continues to go on. We need to talk more about that on another episode, but EasyIO is certainly, they can play in the small space, the big space, the medium-sized space. You got a space, you want something controlled, and EasyIO can do it. And the other thing, too, Kenny, is they're, like you said, they're global. And it's interesting, not that we don't have global companies, because we do. Everybody's playing in a global sort of plane. But EasyIO, it's like it's the same product for everybody, and I think that's sort of refreshing. I think what it allows them to do is to have put all their resources in developing the very best plant controller they can and very best controller they can, and they're not having different versions for export versus domestic. So I think that allows them to really focus their resources very, very well.
Sure does. I mean, there's obviously some limiting factors with language and with different voltages and different connections. The British standards and the American standards, NPT, are different. But around the world, we are seeing an amazingly focused and consolidation of product lines into a global product. And some of the big boys are doing it too. The Honeywells and the Johnsons and the Siemens. But there used to be 10 different product platforms for different parts of the world. And now, other than China, I think it's still everybody's driving into that single platform for a global service and products. And speaking of Honeywell, Eric, we have Honeywell's Laura Kevitt wins the 2014 Control Trends PID Award. An amazing person.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you want to get into it, but our PID was an acronym for passion, integrity, and dedication. And a couple of boo-boos happened with the programs, and somebody's been putting professionalism in there, and we want to apologize because it's passion. That's a key word in the PID award is that passion, and Laura Kevitt certainly possesses passion. She's one of the PID award is one of the most competitive and prestigious awards. And she stood in the company of some other incredible and deserving stalwarts. You got to watch that video because everybody on that list was amazing. But she also set another important milestone for the Control Trends community. Laura was the first woman to win a Control Trends award. So on behalf of the Control Trends community at large, congratulations for your job well done.
Yeah, Laura's the bomb, Kenny. She really is. She, you talk about passion, and she has passion and professionalism. I mean, maybe we should call it the PPID award, passionately professional and integrity and dedication. But she is so deserving and such just a great person. If you've ever had the privilege to work with Laura Kevitt, you know what we're talking about. And to Kenny's point, I mean, if you look at that list of all the nominees, they were all deserving. And Kenny, the thing that I love about this is that I think it just speaks volumes about the people we have in our industry and what a great industry it is. So congratulations to all the people that were finalists for the PID Award, and a special congratulations to Laura Kevitt. Good job, Laura.
Hey, Eric, you know what? I think you just did something. You just modified our PID award to be a PPID. I mean, I don't know what that'll do to the people that have already won the PID, but
I don't know,
I think
Kenny.
you're right.
That makes it sound like the PP award, So I don't know. I think we better keep it the PID award but hey,
All right, okay.
but part of being the PID award, baby, is you got to be flexible, right? Because I guarantee you, Laura, Kevin, and the rest of those folks are not dealing with consistent variables. They're having to roll with the punches. So I think we'll just keep it the PID award. What do you say?
All right, okay. Closed until next year. All
Until
right,
next
next
year.
up we have DG Logic wins big at the 2014 Control Trends Awards. DG Logic, my gosh, they're getting their own in that award, but they won the Visualization Software of the Year. The DG Lux 5 visualization tools took top honors again. DG Lux 5's winning visualization product enables the unification of data, multiple data providers into singular interfaces, adding comprehensive functionalities along with its amazing data visualization tool. So again, there's a group. We were talking about that excellence in that platform, and almost I don't want to use a cult in a bad negative way, because there's a positive side to it. But I mean, those guys are also very passionate and dedicated to a product that everybody you see is always upbeat and extremely anxious and to engage and talk about their product.
Oh, absolutely, Kenny. Absolutely. Good stuff there. Eugene Mazzo, Arthur, and the rest of the team out there, they do a great job. We call them the Men in Black, Kenny, because they are just, not only do they do great work, they style, man. They're usually wearing the dark suits. They look good. They're great guys. They really helped us out a lot. So congratulations to Eugene and his team out in California.
Yeah, and they have some training coming up, so please visit that post on the CG on our website, because we link right into their training registration program. So they're always on the move, always have training, and they've got a new facility, so it's supposed to be spectacular. I haven't been there yet, but maybe next time we get to California, we'll go up there and visit that, check out that new training facility.
Absolutely, Kenny. What we have up next, big dog?
Next up is Tim's Tech Tip: setting up a Cruder stop sign VAV controller, and I really get a kick out of it, because you must have heard that probably 15 years ago, but the actual controller, what is it, the CSE 3011?
Yep.
It looks like a stop sign, and it's never ever moved away from that. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Tim again? Tell us about the Cruder training, and how many zillions of these VAV controllers you think there are out there in the market?
Well, they're a zillion. It is the consummate controller. And if you've worked with a VAV box, I mean, especially a pneumatic box, you can have a normally open, normally closed box. The box can be direct acting or reverse acting. And that means you basically could have 4 different controllers you might need to order. The stop sign, the Cruder CSC 3011, basically has all those in one. So you can configure it for whatever configuration you have. You can set that up and make it work. It's a fabulous controller. There's still millions of them out there. Trane used it for many, many years, as well as virtually every VAV manufacturer. So this gets back to Eric Cruder and his grandfather, who started KMC Controls and all the great controls that they have. They're out there. But Kenny, one of the reasons we did the video is we have so many of those that the people bring back in. They think there's a problem with it, right? And there's not. And so basically I had Tim put the video together, because once you know how to set it up, because you have all the flexibility, you sort of have to know, you have to know how to set it up. It's not hard to set up once you do. Tim Chambly walks you through step by step exactly how to set that controller up. So now what we do, if somebody calls and says, I'm not sure this velocity reset controller is working, we have them look at Tim's video and they get it set. We go, yep, they'll call back and go, wasn't a problem, it was me. I just need to hold my head in a little different way, and adjusted it. But they work great, they control great. And hey, if you don't like that, you can just take the Simply VAV controller, Kenny, and you can put that on there instead, right? So a whole different deal, but great stuff. And Tim, the consummate trader, just did a fantastic job with it. So thank you, Tim Chambly of Stromquist & Company.
Eric, can you bring up a very good point about the integration distributors, the systems integrations, that when you actually have these parallel paths, you maintain that legacy system, an old pneumatic system that's been kept in good shape and just working perfectly. There's no real reason to ever take that out of operation, unless you just simply make a conversion budget decision, because you can keep all that going and you can have a parallel path of using the Simply VAV as the pneumatic units go down. You have a a network out there, and you start replacing things when they actually need replaced, and not for the sake of replacing them. So,
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. The parallel path is a great way to go. You can just sort of phase into it. Pneumatics have been around forever, Kenny, and they still, I think, hold a place today. If you have a really, really big valve, for example, being able to use a pneumatic actuator to move that valve is still pretty economical, although companies like Belimo and Honeywell and Johnson Controls and even KMC are coming out with actuators now that can move higher torque valves. But for a VAV controller, if you got like a little damper actuator or something like that, or chill water valve, you can again begin to phase those in, because the thing about pneumatics is you have to maintain them, right? They need to be calibrated at least once a year. You got to make sure you change your you keep your air clean going to it from the compressor. So there's more maintenance involved in them. But outside of that, they're pretty rock solid, right?
they sure are. And again, you've got a whole staff, a lot of proprietary staff. So a lot of people in the mush markets, especially the schools and the hospitals, their staff are pneumatic experts. They've been doing pneumatics for 20, 30 years, and they just simply don't want to change. And they can control it themselves. They control their own destiny. They're able to change their parts out. They're able to help with some of that service cost and some of the preventive maintenance. But I think again, you see the perfect evolution, so to speak, of the product line, and I think Kruder, hats off to them, because they really were champions in the pneumatic world, and now their new stuff can easily they just make it real easy to transition to the new stuff and keep the buildings working, keep everything comfortable, people happy, tenants happy, students comfortable, and make it all work day in and day out. So it's a very dependable product too.
Well,
I think it's 5-year warranty on all KMC parts, by the way.
Is it? Okay. And then, of course, the Simply VAV controller won the VAV Controller of the Year at the 2014 Control Trends Award. So these guys are on the move, Kenny. They're doing very innovative stuff. We cover them. We talk a lot about them on Control Trends. Encourage you to go back, and you can just go on the website, type in KMC Controls, and you can bring up a whole bunch of really interesting stuff from KMC Controls. What we have up next,
All
Big
right,
Dog?
we're moving to the EasyIO's Gordon Chan wins Control Trends Executive of the Year, small manufacturer, and boy, it's a great picture. I'm looking at the hat, how you transitioned from your Roaring '20s look to sharing that with Gordon Chan, and how he took that like a true executive. He smiled. He didn't know what's going on, but congratulations to EasyIO. It's a company again that we talk about, and we're looking for paragons in our industry at different levels, and we had to sort between the super large companies and the smaller manufacturers that do things right. So they're all great executives. And again, he won that award amongst very competitive executives from all sorts. And I remember in the years past when we actually had a stage where we had guys like Jason Briggs, who was an executive of a different type, Eugene Mazzo was an executive, where they're CEOs of different sized companies, but they all, again, were out. It's like an all-star game. If you see football or baseball, you're just seeing all the best outfielders in the league, or the best running backs in the league. And we see that in our industry, and it's really, really impressive.
No, it is. And Gordon is just a super nice guy, too. If you get a chance to meet him, you definitely want to do that. He will be in Paris, I'm sure. He'll probably be leading the bungee jumpers off of the Eiffel Tower.
I don't think so. He's like me. I don't think those days have gone.
I don't know.
I've seen it. I tell you, I've seen it, and it's unbelievable. It's almost as big of a nightmare as parachuting. It was in West Virginia, off one of the highest bridge. It's on the way to. When I used to drive down to South Carolina, we went across Route 19 all the time. But they closed the bridge off a couple times a year, at least once, twice. My daughter went to school in South Carolina, and we went down to pick her up and drop her off at the same times for 4 years. And we'd always be going down there one of the months of the year that they were doing the bungee jumping. Huh. So one time we decided to kind of stop and take a look at it. It might not have been every year, it might have been every other year, but it is. I just don't know how to have the muster to jump off, and just believe everything's going to work and everything's a fun thing. It takes a different type of person to be able to do that. So.
Or lots of alcohol.
Well, these guys were all studs, and the women were doing it too. I mean, but every one of them seemed to be, kind of really on top of their fitness game, and just the thrill, I guess, the exhilaration. Take skiing and times it by 100.
Well, I don't know. People that I know that have parachuted, which I would never do, say it's the biggest thrill they've ever had with their pants on.
Eric, you're going to give us an R rating if you keep us up now.
All right, Kenny, we better move on to the next post, big dog.
Yeah, the next post is the final post, Eric. And again, here we are in April, and we're still, pulling away the layers of the Control Trends Awards. It was so big and so many people, and it was so exciting. The picture that leads into the awards caption is Wayne Tai from Tritium, and there's probably 110 people that are very visible and very recognizable in this short 6-7 minute highlight reel of the Control Trends 2014 show in Chicago. And I'll tell you, everybody's just, you can feel the energy. Captured the energy. Your interviews, you talked with some of the top people in the business, the awards, and then of course our sponsors. That shot of the sponsor wall, step and repeat is that's what it's all about. That is the gas that goes into the tank that makes all this possible. And again, 100 million thanks to those people, and we hope that you can support us again in the 2015 Control Trends Awards.
No, absolutely, Kenny. Without the sponsors, none of this happens. It's break even for me and Kenny at best, but it's a labor of love for us. We really appreciate everybody in the industry, and what great people. And again, thanks to EasyIO and CR Monitoring for already announcing their sponsorship for the 2015 Control Trends Awards, which will be in Orlando, Kenny. It's going to be spectacular. We're already sort of talking offline about how to make that even better. And so we'll hopefully have some more entertainment value down there. We were a little bit, not a little bit, we were really restricted as to what we could do at the awards in Chicago. And, some of the stuff we would do differently. But in Orlando, I think it's going to be wide open. We're actually looking at doing a Sunday evening as a possibility. So if you got some thoughts about that, please let us know in comments. Most people get there by Sunday anyway to get set up for the show on Monday. So we're thinking a Sunday night at some really spectacular place where we could combine the additional awards we had plus some entertainment, sort of mixed the New York Control Trends Awards with the Chicago Awards, and then just keep creating the great content. I mean, part of what it is for us, Kenny, is capturing the great people. And this final video we did was a red carpet video. So if you got your picture taken on the red carpet, you're in there. I would encourage people, if you want to, please reach out in comments. If you see yourself there, say, hey, I was one of the people in the video. It's good stuff. Unfortunately, we did not. We did a lot of red carpet interviews, but unfortunately, due to the quality of the video that we got, this was not stuff that we did. It was stuff we had to use their people, and I don't know, Kenny, they were just using the wrong microphones and things were going in and out of focus. So I really had to do an editing job to sort of find usable footage in there. So we did the best we could with that. But you get to see the faces, you get to feel the energy, you get to see what it's sort of all about. And again, 2015 is going to be spectacular. And that's just right around the corner in January 2016.
It's moving, Eric. I tell you what, we're going to go down and go location. We had one final just comment. It was our friend Ken St. Clair from Automated Buildings. He's the owner, editor, publisher, and he was talking about his. He was both in the Realcomm advisory and the IBCon advisory, and it's growing our industry younger. So that concept that we piggybacked on, and we've been talking about it, and have maybe 8-10 posts on, is now spreading wider and wider. So that funnel. But what was really cool about the article was that Ken says that the idea basically came to him after he talked with Paul Oswald. That was when he put his foot down and said he was going to have to really take some of his professional time and energy. He says, where did my crusade start? At last year's IBCon conference in Las Vegas, where I met up with an old acquaintance and fellow advisor, Paul Oswald, who was the president of Environmental Systems, Inc. He inspired me during this presentation, and the rest is kind of history. And that may be one we might be remiss there, that we almost missed the IBCon Realcomm show.
That's coming.
And why don't you tell us about that? You're going to be part of the show again, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we're going to be out there. It's in San Antonio, Texas. I don't have the dates off the top of my head, Kenny, but we'll post those on the website. But it's going to be another great show. Can't wait to see what Jim Young, Howard Berger, and Lisa Young come up with this year. I think I'm going to take Rob Allen out there with me. You had a prior commitment, so you're not going to be able to be there, but I think I'm going to bring Rob with me. Right. And we'll cover the show. Can't wait to I mean, every time we go out there, it's just like getting hit with a fire hydrant of ideas and trends. And Jim Young, Howard Berger, those guys are they're way out front. I mean, I call them the prophets, right? I mean, they're out front, along with Ken Sinclair. Ken Sinclair's a profit maker, I think. In other words, I think what happens is Ken really pays attention. Guys like Jim Young, Howard Berger, they're out there, they're seeing what's going on. I think Ken Sinclair is able to sort of sift through it and go, yeah, this is relevant. We need to pay attention to this. And, we talk about the getting younger thing, Kenny. It was Paul Oswalt made a comment about tribal knowledge leaving the building. And, we mentioned pneumatics earlier in the show. I mean, a lot of that tribal knowledge is going to be leaving because the younger people are not necessarily getting trained on pneumatics. That's where, having those videos archived, guys like Tim Chambly, where a newer guy can find that and see how it's done. But Ken Sinclair, automatedbuildings.com. Be sure to check that out. His April issue is out. And Kenny, with that, I tell you what, I think I'm going to have to go change a couple of diapers, big dog.
Well, Eric, I just want to interject. The dates are June 8th, which is the pre-conference event date, and then June 9th through the 10th is the RealComm IBCon conference. It's at the Marriott River Center, San Antonio, Texas.
That's going to be good stuff. Good stuff.
All
right, Kenny, with that, I tell you what, I got a couple of diapers I got to go change. A special thanks to our guest this week, Varun Najaraj from Sierra Monitoring. Stay tuned. Those guys are going to bring a lot to our industry. They already do. We're going to find out more about those guys. Looking forward to the show. Special thanks to you, Kenny Smyers, and to all our listeners and viewers. Like I said, I'm going to go change a couple of diapers. So with that, I will leave you with stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.